Yeah, that's right. It's Editor Me here, and yes, I am shirtless. I was just working out. I'm hot. I don't even want to put a shirt on. But anyways, just wanted to state one disclaimer really before we get into the content of this video. So I am aware of the pot of water that Sonya Massey had and allegedly may have thrown at Officer Grayson before she was shot and killed. Does that change the content of what I said in the video, which you will see in a few minutes? So, no, it doesn't. One, because it's hot water or just water in general. I don't know if it was boiling hot or whatever the case is, but it was just a pot of water. Two, from conflicting articles that I've seen, one's saying that it was boiling hot water, others saying that it was just room temperature water, others even saying the pot of water wasn't even thrown on him to begin with. Now, as far as the video cam footage, that's something that I would normally make a decision on by myself because I understand what it looks like to have water thrown at you. But as I stated in the video, I will not be watching that video. I'm not trying to see that, and whether it was water thrown at Officer Grayson or not, the simple fact of the matter is we've seen situations. I've recently saw a situation where the cops were able to de-escalate a threat, in quotation marks. They were able to de-escalate a threat without killing them. There was a situation where a guy and an officer got into a fist fight. The guy attacked the officer first. Okay, this is a recent one. Okay, the guy attacked the officer. The officer threw a few punches, but ended up getting away from the guy who was attacking him. Was able to pull out his taser gun, shoot the guy. The guy was subdued. It's really that simple. I'm not saying that cops should just stand around and do nothing if they are attacked, whether it's with pots of water or fist. But there are ways of subduing somebody who isn't a deadly threat. And do I have to say the race of the guy who was subdued with the taser gun? I'm going to say it anyway. It was a white guy. A white guy attacking a white police officer, and that white police officer saw that guy, even though that guy was attacking him physically, he still was aware enough to say this person's life matters, and I don't want to take their life by just simply shooting them down with this gun, so I'm going to take this gun and I'm going to subdue them so they can stop attacking me, but also so I don't take their life. So we've seen this stuff happen many, many times before. And if, again, and I've said this stuff many, many times before, and if it can be done for somebody else, like that method of subduing somebody, then you could do it across the board. So I don't want to hear in the comments. I know I'm still going to get them. I don't give a fuck. I don't want to see or hear in the comments about, oh, she had this, she had that. Comment all the fuck you want. Algorithm, baby. I don't give a damn. Algorithm. That's all it is. You know what I'm saying? So comment what you want. It's not going to change the content of what I said in the video. All right? Now, to anybody else who, going to comment something positive, you're always going to get a response, at least a heart from me, if not a comment back. You're going to get a heart or a like to your comment, all this other stuff. Everybody else, I don't give a damn. You sound stupid, you look stupid, I want the world to see it. I'm not going to delete your comment. And again, algorithm. Shout out to everybody who's been subscribing. Speaking of algorithm, shout out to everybody who's been subscribing, watching, liking, and please share the videos as well. Thank you all, especially those who've been subscribing. Really helps out the channel, helps out what I'm doing, and yeah, just show some appreciation. Check out the links in the description box below. Other ways you can support me. I have my book that I just released back in June. That's down there, called Late Nights on Broadway. Go check that out. I make clothing as well, merch, my own merch line, especially for the podcast, as well. So go check that out. You will find that. That's the bonfire link. Any other link down there as well. If you want to listen to these episodes audio version wise, and you don't want to have to wait throughout the week until I upload these videos, you are able to do so by clicking the first link in the description box below to view the audio version of the Earnest Thoughts podcast. All right. So that's all I wanted to say. Again, I'm aware of the pot of water, and no, she should not have been killed for possessing or even throwing a pot of water on Grayson. Okay, if he really thought he was that much of a threat, again, taser gun. Every cop had. How can I, as a everyday citizen, not a gun, not a cop, how can I have access to a taser gun legally? By the way, legally, I get verified proof that I've actually purchased this taser gun legally. So how am I able to have access to a legal, proven, owned taser gun, but the police don't? Yeah, no, that's BS. I know he had a taser gun. He turned off his camera, by the way. That's another thing I wanted to say before I go. He turned off his camera before entering the house, and he entered in, like I said, guns pointed out, just ready to be a threat. He obviously wanted to cause some harm, you know? So no, the pot of water, whatever else is going on, it doesn't change what I said in the video. Also, a big disclaimer, because I know people are gonna comment shit about new developments. I know there are some newer developments that has been revealed. This video was recorded, not this one that you're watching, the one that's about to appear. Okay, that video was recorded, and my thoughts were stated about 1 or 2 days after the Sonya Massey situation hit mainstream news. So it's been a couple weeks now since then. So yeah, I mean, whatever I say in that, even though I'm not taking back anything, whatever I say in that, if I don't mention any of the newer developments of what's going on with Grayson and all this other stuff, it's because at the time of recording, those things I was not privy to that stuff. That's obvious to me, but you got to say these things once again because people are stupid. All right, that's it for now. Thank you for subscribing, watching, all that. Thumbs up, thumbs down, do whatever you feel you got to do. All right, later. Right. So I'm here to talk about the last topic. I thought it was pretty, I guess, fitting that I was able to fit those two topics in the last discussion, because that was actually going to be the last topic. But since I've done that, I figured I can now just talk about this situation here with Sonya Massey. I believe that's how you say her last name. The Black woman who called the police because she was afraid of an intruder or a possible intruder that was, breaking into her home. And instead of being treated like the victim of a possible home invasion, she was treated like the assailant, a violent assailant at that, and was then shot dead in her own home by the same police officer for which she called the police for which she sought out protection of. At first I wasn't going to talk about this on the podcast, simply because I get tired of covering these topics, and I say the same thing over and over again. I think I even said this the last time I talked about police murdering an unarmed Black person who didn't deserve to get shot. And race has nothing to do with the aspect of my thoughts on the police when they shoot unarmed individuals. I have a problem with it, period. But whether it's someone Black, or not, I feel as though I often have to have the same conversations because, or talking points, because it just shows that nothing has changed, you know? Now, granted, if this guy who is, let me get the officer's name right. Hold on. I'm gonna have to do some more search because I was just reading a statement from Joe Biden. Um, Apparently Joe Biden wrote it, but I was just reading a White House statement on a situation. Um, what is this officer's name? A former officer now, right? I guess. Um, Sean Grayson. So, um, Sean Grayson was at least charged with the murder of Sonya Massey, but that's not going to stop other officers from doing so. In fact, Sean Grayson shouldn't have been a cop. Sean Grayson should either be behind bars or at least should be shouldn't have been someone who wielded the power to possess a gun. Okay, y'all want to talk about gun control and all this other stuff. And I understand the aspect of making sure people are mentally capable of owning a gun before actually giving them the right to own a gun. How come that's never said about cops though? Sean Grayson has a history, even prior to him even becoming a cop, with having issues with the law, particularly driving under the influence of alcohol. He's got 2 DUIs. And I guess he figured, well, let me just become a cop so I can get away with drinking while driving. But even when he can't became a cop, it wasn't as like he just went on a straight and narrow. Again, people gonna be like, "Don't judge him by his past." Isn't that the theme of this episode? Well, Grayson's theme, well, not his theme, but Grayson's actions continue to be problematic. Prior to him even working at the precinct that he did work at, and again, was fired from, um, to my knowledge, that he, either is still working at or did work at. He had 6 other jobs, 6 other precincts that he was fired from for misconduct as well. The man clearly has a problem. The man clearly not only should he not be a police officer, but he should not possess a firearm at all. He doesn't have the mental or emotional capacity to be able to, whenever he's in a situation that might be intense, like looking at a woman. And I didn't watch the video. And for anyone that's going to be like, are you going to respond to the video? Absolutely not. Not watching it. No amount of money you can pay me to make me want to view something like that. I'm tired of seeing shit like that. The last time I believe I saw like a police murdering someone on camera was George Floyd. And after that, I said, I'm done. Heck, I won't even watch videos of kids and moms and dads and uncles and brothers and sisters and people in Palestine having their bodies blown to bits. I already told y'all that when I talked about the situation with Palestine, how I followed someone that was constantly showing videos of that. I don't know if he got word because I never personally told him to stop, but he has since stopped doing that. Maybe other people have said, "Yo, bro, we don't want to see that on the timeline." But nonetheless, that's the real life individuals going through stuff, being murdered on camera. I'm not trying to see that. And again, I don't care how much money you donate. None of y'all motherfuckers donate anyway. Let's keep that real. So let's not put that scenario out there like you're a constant supporter, financial supporter of this podcast. You're not. But even if you were, you still would no amount, not at $10, $100, $1,000. I take that money because I wouldn't turn it down. I take the money and I do with the money that I make. Invest, pay bills, save. What I won't do is watch that video and respond to it. Now, in regards to this situation here, again, as I stated before, I didn't want to talk about it, but then I figured, you know what? Let me talk about it, because let me at least add a little more to the conversation that can possibly be different, as far as just different from what I've said in the past. But if you're looking for more of the same, just go back and listen to what I said about situations like this before. Because a part of what I feel here is what I felt back then about whoever the person was, whether it was a Breonna Taylor or George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, some other person. So if you want to know those thoughts or my thoughts verbatim about, the aspect, even though I'm probably gonna reiterate some things here, just go back and listen to what I had to say about those situations, so you can know how I truly feel about this situation here. But the other aspect, and this aspect is the reason as to why I wanted to talk more so about this, or decided to put it that way, talk about this, was just this. There's two things. Number one, this is why we have a mistrust for the police, and we think they're very incompetent and unneeded. The other thing, and this is why I am very, very pro Second Amendment. Now, people are going to say, well, now, how would that make sense if Sonya had a gun and the police officer pointed the gun at her and she pulled out her gun, she still would have gotten shot? We're not talking about Sean Grayson in this situation. In fact, the scenario that I'm talking about, if Sonya owned a gun, well, she lived in Illinois, so we know how that place is. I don't know about the entire state, but basing it off of Chicago's politics, probably would have been impossible for her to get a gun. Now, people are going to be like, well, Chicago, they got guns. Those are not legal firearms. And if you really want to get into a discussion about Chicago, I'm with it, but we're not doing it here. Anyways, why I brought up this situation of why I am pro Second Amendment and just an advocate of people owning their guns and not calling the police when there's danger is because, again, if she called the police because of an intruder, right? Or she suspected that someone was breaking into her house, that's what your gun is for. They came into your property, they caused damage, and you have the right to protect yourself. Now, I don't want to make it seem as though it's a situation where I'm like, if I was in that situation, that's what I would have done. And then victim blaming, absolutely not. Because the fact of the matter is, she should still be alive. Whether I believe that cops in that situation served or was better than having a gun or not, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, she was not in the wrong for seeking protection, because we are taught, not just as kids, but as adults, that they being the police are there for our protection, right? So if you're someone like a Sonya Massey, who is in a situation to where your house is being broken into, and what is the first thing that's going to come to mind? The very thing that every American has been indoctrinated to think: call the cops, because they will come and protect you. Now, when I say every American, maybe some of y'all are like 2A advocates like me, and you're like, no, I'm getting my gun now. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. You might be a rare individual where your parents or whoever raised you told you that's what you do if someone were to break into your house. But for the vast majority of us, even the vast majority, I'm willing to assume the vast majority of us gun loving fools. But no, the vast majority of us two-way loving individuals were told by our parents, by whoever raised us, that if we were in danger, we were to call the police. That having a gun will make the situation worse. What's worse than death in that situation? What's worse than being shot for doing exactly what your parents and other people in your life who are responsible for your upbringing has taught you to do? You did exactly what they said and you still got punished for it. What is worse than that? I understand, once again, there are people out there with guns who should not have a gun. Sean Grayson is one of them. I understand there are people who don't have a badge but do have a gun and should not possess that thing, because if they were to pull it out, things would escalate into something worse. But not everyone is Sean Grayson. Not everyone is Grayson Sean or whoever the other individual might be. So I'm big on two-way for a number of reasons. But situations like this, when I am in danger, I don't have the time to sit and wait for a cop. And even if a cop does show up, I damn sure don't want to be treated like I'm in the wrong for doing the exact same thing that I've been told to do my entire life. Seek out these motherfuckers for some protection. What's the saying? I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Some people are for that. Some people are ready for that. And I'm not saying, people or, like prison is good, or, people are prepared to go to jail, or mentally, or people like going to jail and put it that way. But in a situation like that, if you were for some whatever reason, some messed up reason, you would be punished for protecting yourself, protecting your family, and you get sent to jail for that. These words might not mean a damn thing, but at least you're still alive. And this is in no way disrespect to Sonya Massey or any other black or non-black individual who called the police and thought they were going to get, in hopes they were going to get the protection that all of their life they've been told they would get if they were to call the police. And I'm not even going to blame her parents. I'm not saying that, because who taught our parents? Other than their parents, of course, but who taught us as people in general that these motherfuckers are out to protect us? They did. The powers that be did. Society did. When you look at the history of policing, especially here in America, it was never meant to protect the people. And it damn sure did not start out of, we've got to protect people. It started to out of getting running up runaway slaves. By the way, Pinkertons, they used to be called Pinkertons, not police officers. Pinkertons. It went from let's just go after runaway slaves. Let's just go after even free blacks. They were rounding up free blacks and claiming they were runaway slaves, and then rounding them up and accusing them of being runaways, and then re-slaving them. They were doing that. And then when the cowboy era was a thing, outlaws and stuff, and then it became okay. Now we gotta you know go after free blacks because blacks were free at the time. But we got to go after free blacks and say that they were runaway slaves, or just accuse them of some shit, because we can do that. But now we got to go after these cowboys as well. And then it just morphed into We are the protectors of society. This was long before Sonya Massey's parents and grandparents, and long before my parents and everybody else's parents were around and grandparents were around. You know, we have ancestors that may have been around during that time, but again, they were taught that the Pinkertons are protectors of society. And that as long as you're not a runaway slave or a cowboy, you shall not fear the Pinkertons. They will not go after you. They're only after the outlaws. You can trust them. And yet we've seen far too many stories like the story we've seen today with Sonya Massey. Now, people gonna say, well, that's Sean Grayson. You should not judge the entire police department. There's many other Sean Graysons out there. And it doesn't help the police department. My views would somewhat be different, or I'd be willing to change up my views if everybody, every cop, former cop or whatever, every cop, let me put it that way, like a Sean Grayson who did what he did, was not only fired, but but put in prison for their actions. But Sean Grayson being punished is a rarity. When I first heard about this situation, I'm like, let me guess, he got off. Let me guess, he's gonna claim she got a gun. Let me guess. And again, I didn't see the video, so I'm not gonna speak on the video. I'm not gonna speak on as if she didn't move her hand. And even if she did move her hand a certain way, if there was no weapon found on her that claimed that Sean Grayson had a reason to shoot, there's no reason. I bet the situation went as follows. And again, didn't see the video, but I bet it went as follows. Sean went into this woman's house, guns blazing. She is already in frantic mode. And I really hate when motherfuckers try to tell you just be calm and be cool and shit. And I know our parents told us this, and it was, again, it wasn't sound advice. So that's what I'm gonna say. But be calm, be cool when you got a gun pointed at your face and a screaming pig on the other end. It's hard to be calm and cool when you got a screaming individual, period, without a gun. It's just yelling at you, right? Some people can do that, but could you do that when that screaming individual has a gun pointed at you and now the screaming is intensified behind a weapon? If you can still stay cool in that moment, kudos to you. But the vast majority of human beings, that's hard to do. And yet we are expected to do that. And we are expected to be held at a higher standard than the very individuals who are supposedly the protectors of us. The very people who take a supposed oath, and this is why words don't mean shit. Words are just words. Coming from someone who works with words, my entire profession is words. And I know they ain't shit. It's what you do. Actions is what's happening. Actions is what's important. In fact, if we want to go forward, the most important job, well, it's not acting, but actions in general. But not to get on the side tangent about words and actions and all this stuff, but these people take oaths to protect and be calm in these situations. Now people going to say, oh, they're humans too. They're humans too. If you want to say it that way, let's play your game. Sean Grayson's a human. All the other pigs are humans. Let's play your game. Who do you think is more fearful in that situation? The human with a gun and a badge and a vest to protect themselves from being shot, or the human who was so fearful of their safety that they called the human with the badge and gun to come and protect them because the human being was that fearful for their life. Now, tell me, what sense does it make for the individual, for you to try to justify, well, he's a human too, and you need me. Not that I've seen people do this, but I know people are going to do this. And if, in fact, I would not be surprised if I saw it on this video. Or, well, in the video. I don't think anyone's going to comment this on the DSPs that where you can comment on, but it might be. I will not be surprised, or should not be surprised. Let's put it that way. I should not be surprised. But to pretty much wrap up what I'm gonna say here is, because I said what I said, you know, rest in peace to Sonya Massey once again. This stuff is heartening, heartbreaking, and for those, again, if you need another reminder, I'm not watching the video. I don't care how much money you donate. You don't donate in the damn thing. I don't care. I will donate for real, if you just respond to it. No, no, not gonna do it. Unsubscribe, unfollow, do whatever you feel the need to do. I don't care. But if you are here, you came here for my thoughts, and I do appreciate your viewership. But yeah, I this is why I am for the Second Amendment, or at least a big part of it. Not all, but a big part of it. Because situations like this, and as the saying goes, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. The jury might not find me guilty of my actions. They might look at it as I did, self-defense, if I were to shoot and kill somebody for breaking into my home. But I wouldn't get that opportunity to even have that chance to be alive if I were to call a cop, and instead of them coming in and asking me questions regarding the burglary or the individual who, I either caught in my home, or what made me call them in the first place, they go in yelling, guns blazing, they shoot me and they kill me. Yeah. Anyways, this has been another episode of the Earnest Thoughts podcast with your host Ernest, or you love Ernest. Thanks for listening. Check out the links in the description box below, ways you can help support the podcast. Remember, my latest book, Late Nights on Broadway, is down there as well. So if you want to read, if you would like reading, that's down there. I greatly appreciate if you supported that. Check out the other links, being my blog link down there. I'll publish some new stuff soon. I know I've been real iffy on that, but new stuff will be published there soon. So if you are a fan of my blog, new content is going to be on there pretty soon. So yeah, um, merch if you want, to support. Um, I got to reinstate the merch for the podcast, but just other merch down there unrelated to the podcast will be. You can find it in the merch link down there. So check that out. Donation links, cake, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, all that is down there as well. But simply just sharing the podcast, rating the podcast, subscribing to the podcast, wherever you're viewing it. These things are appreciated. And yeah, once again, rest in peace to Sonya Massey. Thoughts and prayers to her family, any other victims of this senseless pig violence. And yeah, we can't talk about, if we go and talk about gun control, we got to talk about the police. We have to include the police in that discussion. Anybody who don't want to include that is coming from the privileged background of being a white liberal. And as we've known, or as I've stated on this podcast many times before, these individuals are not the individuals who should be leading or participating in any of these discussions, because they come from it from a standpoint of not being someone that has gone through the very things that they claim to care about. They come from it from this a privileged standpoint that is oftentimes disingenuous support that comes with um you know strings attached to it, and oftentimes they reveal how they truly their true nature once they come across a nigga like me who's unafraid to tell them to their face that I know you ain't shit and you a lie and you have no business talking about what you're talking about right now. You need to shut up. And if you're truly a supporter, you're going to use your privilege to support us and not necessarily speak like you were speaking for us. Speak like you know more than us, like you're better than us. And you're actually going to make a change. And that goes by supporting the politicians that are actually for us and not political politicians or political parties that are not actually for us. That also goes for listening to the very people that you claim you are in allyship for, and not the ones you prop up, and not the ones who just say what they know that you want them to say. So, had to throw that in there. Anyways, that's the end of this podcast. Stay black if you are black. Stay beautiful. Black Lives Matter. LGBTQIA plus lives matter. Black women matter. Black men matter. Trans women matter. And black children matter. And you matter. I guess I should throw in trans men matter too. Not that I don't think y'all don't matter. It's just I figured let me be equal, I guess. Anyways, you matter. When I say you, it means whoever you are, unless you a pig. All right. Later.